This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get Calm AF. Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Calm AF. I'm so happy to be here with you today, and I'm very excited to talk to you about today's topic. We're going to talk about our future self today. And the reason being is because somehow, inexplicably, we are moving into the second half of the year. We're moving into the second half of 2023. Technically, July is what starts the second half, but I like to start thinking about it in June because what I love to do is revisit my future self plans and my goals in June so that by the time we get to the second half, I already have a solid plan if anything has changed for the year. And I don't know if it's like this for any of you, but I also like to do it this way because I tend to slow way down in the summers, like in good ways and in not great ways. I am all about the slower life. I am all about prioritizing fun and joy over hustle and hard work. But in the past, for me anyway, slowing down in the summer often would lead to like this complete abandonment of my goals. And if this sounds familiar to you, and you are looking to enjoy the slower days, but also not feel like you have to start from scratch when the summer starts turning into fall, I have got a little something for you. This is something new. I have been thinking about this for a long time. I am inviting you to this advanced future self course and workshop. So I share a lot about goal setting and future self stuff here on the podcast, but this workshop will take your future self creation to the next level. This is like the in-depth, even more in-depth. I've actually been playing with and improving on my future self workshop this year as my clients are going through it every single month in Calm AF Life. So I've been playing with a lot more and I've really kind of up-leveled the whole thing. So this course is going to teach you the 5 steps that you need to move through in order to set future self goals. In a nutshell, Calm AF goal setting is anti-torture. It's anti-shame. It does not feel like a slow march, like drudging yourself through sludge to create your future self. The Calm AF way is all about lightening up and enjoying the journey, which helps you get to the destination faster, actually. This is what everyone in Calm AF Life is already discovering. They're like, wow, it's happening way faster than it used to. Yeah, because you're enjoying it. Things go faster when you don't feel like you have to stop and catch your breath every 5 seconds. So this advanced future self course is available to everyone. This will be released on June 9th. You should sign up for it beforehand because I'm going to send you some goodies along the way, like while we're moving up to the course. I'm going to send you a playlist. I'm going to send you a visualization. But in a nutshell, it's a do-it-yourself, self-paced mini course that you get to keep forever. So obviously you can come back every 6 months, every month, every year, and redo this entire workshop as you're setting new goals. But that's not all. I said it was a course and workshop. We are going to do a bonus live workshop where I'm going to walk you through the entire process. We're going to do it together so that you can make sure that you actually set those future self goals and actually create a plan that you can hold in your hands that you have for the rest of the year. So that is happening on June 16th. The course drops June 9th, and then you get a week to look at that if you have time. And then the live course or the live workshop happens on the 16th. And I would plan on about 2 to 3 hours for that workshop. Now, if you can't make that live workshop, you will get the replay and you will have a chance to send me in some questions if you get stuck. So that is my newest fun little goodie for you. And all of this, I'm doing this for a very special price of $197. This is for you until June 16th. And then the price will go up because it's worth like much more than that, but I want to make sure that there's no reason why you can't be there. Okay. And obviously, if you show up later, the price will be up and you won't get the bonus live workshop. Now, if you are a member of Calm AF Life, this is already included. This is already included in the program. The course will probably actually be added to the portal before the 9th. So you don't have to do anything but sit back and enjoy. The link to join is in the show notes. I can't wait to do this process with you in real time. All right, so today I want to share with you the 5 steps that I have used over and over and over again to be becoming my future self over and over and over again. First, let's talk about what I mean when I say future self. So future self is the version of me that's already living the life that I want to be living. So we are always in some state of becoming our future selves. We are always moving towards something new. We are always changing. But the problem is most of us are doing it unintentionally. We are just going through the motions, hoping that things change, hoping to change our relationships, hoping to change our job, hoping to change our circumstances. But what got you here, where you are today, is not what will get you there. If you want to become your future self, you can't just hope. You can't just set a couple goals and think about them every once in a while. To become your future self, you have to change what you're doing now. You have to learn a new way of thinking. You have to learn a new way of feeling because your current habits created what you have now. Your future self shows up differently. Your future self is doing so many things differently. And that is why people a lot of times will give up before they start because they know that in order to get where I want to go, I'm going to have to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to have to do things differently. It might ruffle some feathers, and that feels scary and overwhelming. Luckily, the way that I do this, the Calm AF way of setting goals and creating your future self life, the process eliminates that. It's not overwhelming. It's like the opposite. You know, using the Calm AF process, that if it feels really hard, if it feels like it's just too much, you are working on the wrong thing. You are not following your process, right? And the reason being is probably because you have moved back into your current self mindset and tried to logically set your goals based on what you know or what you've experienced in the past, instead of going to your future self and making your plans and setting your goals from that mindset. So you're going to create your goals differently this time using the Calm AF way. You're going to create your future goals from the mind of your future self. The goals that you set are going to feel like full body yeses. And yes, of course, you have to take action. There are new things that you need to do, new habits to create. But when you're becoming your Calm AF future self, you are feeling Calm AF the whole way. Now, like I said earlier, this process has allowed me to transform almost every single area of my life many times over. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So the steps I'm going to share with you today and teach in super depth in the course are the exact steps that I've used to dramatically change the relationship I have with my body, with food, with exercise. If you didn't know this, I struggled with very disordered eating and very disordered thinking around my body and all of that for many, many years. And today, I don't. I always say this was my Everest, getting to this place where I truly, genuinely feel free, feel good no matter what is going on, and I'm able to figure things out in a calm way because of this process. I feel free, I feel empowered instead of out of control and always freaked out. These steps have changed my relationship with my husband. If you don't know our story, there's a New York Times bestselling book written about us by my husband. It can give you all the deets. In a nutshell, Dave and I struggled. We struggled hard for a long time in our marriage. And today, we are genuinely thriving. And we are differently wired. Okay? Let me share a little more here because in my marriage, my big dream, which I'll talk to you about when we get into the steps, my big overall goal was that I felt free and light in my relationship and that my relationship felt like ease. And that is truly how it feels today. Not every second, because hello, that life, but in general, this is how my relationship with my neurodiverse husband feels. It's also important to remember that there was a point in time when I didn't believe that was possible at all. At one point, my only goal was just to feel okay. So I had to learn the future self version of me who felt okay in my marriage. How did she think? How did she take care of herself? What did she need to stop doing? What did she need to do more of? And eventually, my current self became my future self where I felt okay in my marriage. And then I moved from there. We're always evolving into what's next, right? So I didn't want to just stay at okay. I was like, wouldn't it be great to feel like really, really amazing in this relationship? Today, we are where I always wanted us to be. My big goal, the place I just didn't always believe was possible to feel this way in this relationship, it's here. And now I just get to have the most fun thinking about how it can get even better because we don't ever end, right? It's not like, oh, all done. We're exact. No, of course, we're always changing. So there is another version of myself and another version of myself in this relationship that I'm in the process of creating. And I'm just having a ball doing it. Okay, these future self steps that I'm going to share with you here and then in depth in the course have made me a better mom. They've made me a better coach. They've made me a better business owner. They have just helped me evolve intentionally in so many ways. They've also made me more productive. If you didn't know, I have got some real life ADHD here. I was diagnosed like 25 years ago, so I took all the shitty stories I had about how limiting my ADHD was, and I used these steps to turn it all the way around, right? When I asked my future self thought ADHD was a superpower, not a limitation. And that is how I genuinely feel today about my ADHD. Now, that doesn't mean I just think, oh, isn't my ADHD so great? And doesn't it make my life so much easier? No, I just had to learn new skills. I had to create from scratch this system I call Calm AF time blocking that worked specifically with my brain. And that process took years because as I became my future self, the next version of my future self had bigger dreams requiring better time management and better time blocking skills. Every tool, every concept, every up level I have ever gone through in my adult life did not happen because I was just hoping it would. It's because I used these 5 steps and I had a plan that felt aligned with how my future self feels. So let's get into it. Let me share these 5 steps with you. Step 1, give yourself full permission to want what you want. Before you decide what your future self goals are, you need to let yourself dream really big. I am not interested here in your safe, reasonable, realistic goals. Before we get there, I need you to use your imagination like you haven't used it since you were a kid. I was just talking to my Calm AF lifers the other day, and I was telling them, like, you know how we don't try and tell kids not to use their imagination? Like, we don't limit them and say, like, oh, that's silly, don't believe that. We don't do that to kids. Remember when Parker was little, all he wanted to be when he grew up was a dog. Now, we didn't tell him he couldn't be a dog because what was the harm in feeling that joy and excitement when he thought about the possibility of someday getting to be a dog? No, one of the saddest days of my life was when he asked me, he was like, hey, Mom, if I want to be a dog when I grow up, does that mean I would have had to have been born a puppy? Oh, broke my heart in a million pieces. So, step 1, permission to want what you want. What this step is going to do is give you access to your inner GPS. Limiting your imagination here is like telling the GPS to take you to the pool when where you really want to go is the ocean. If you want to know how to get to your future self, like your feelings, your true feelings and desires will lead the way. If you dream big and that means you have $20 million in the bank, it's not actually that now you need to figure out how to get $20 million in the bank. What you're wanting is whatever feeling your brain tells you having $20 million in the bank would create. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2, you're going to do a current self audit. So in this step, you're going to see what you're doing now that's already working for you. And that is so that you know what to continue. Not everything has to be starting from scratch. You're already doing things now that are supportive of your future self life. You're going to take some non-judgy looks at where you are now in each of the different buckets of your life. I call them buckets. What I mean is, like, you have a relationship bucket, you have a physical health bucket, you have a home bucket, you have a fun bucket. You're going to look at each bucket and non-judgmentally rate how this area of life feels now. Non-judgmentally means you're not going to make stories about it. You're just like objectively looking. I would rate this a 4 out of 10. And then you're going to ask yourself the very, very important question of, why do I feel this way? Why did I give it this number? Why did I rate my physical health a 6? Why did I rate my marriage a 3? You're going to be auditing how you got here, how you spend your time, what your habits are, and how you think, what your current self-thoughts are that have created the life you have now. Now, I want to give a little word of warning with step 2, okay? Your brain is going to want to kick your ass here. It's going to want to take you to, oh, well, you got here because you suck. You got here because you never follow through. You got here because you aren't strong enough to stand up for yourself. Please, 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 if you are doing this future self workshop on your own, don't do this to yourself. It's such a waste of time. It is so unhelpful. It will stop you in your tracks. If you're doing it with me in the course and in the workshop, I got you. But if you do this on your own, please don't do this to yourself, because this current self-audit, if you cannot judge yourself in it, it's an actual goldmine of information. If you can just gather the information about your current self-thoughts or the habits or the activities that got you to where you are today, you will be way more prepared as you move towards your future self. You don't have to change every current self-thought or habit. You really just need the awareness so that when it pops up, when that thought pops up of like, oh, you're here because you don't follow through, all you have to do is be like, oops, that's not a future self-thought. Let me try again. Okay, so that's step 2, the current self-audit. Step 3, you will do a future self-alignment. Now, the way I like to do this, I like to guide my clients through a future self-visualization where you actually go and hang out with your future self and have a conversation. So this is what I mean by setting goals and deciding on actions from the mind of your future self. You actually go to your future self and look for their answers, the version of you who already has what you want. That person can answer your questions. And oftentimes, people are surprised that it's way easier to find these answers than they think. And here's why. Because when I do the future self-visualization, when I walk you through that visualization, part of what I'm doing is getting your nervous system nice and regulated, nice and calm AF, so that you can hear your intuition instead of just all of those fear thoughts. So if you're doing this on your own, make sure you try and do this, get to your future self conversation from a place of calm AF energy. It's amazing how much easier it is to connect with your future self and get answers when you're in that energy. So in this step, you will hear from your future self so that you can create a goal for each bucket. So if your marriage, you're going to ask your future self, whose marriage already feels like a 10, how does it feel that your marriage bucket is a 10? You're going to do that for each of the buckets. Step 4. All right, now that we've got our feeling goals for each bucket, it's time to find the how. Okay? Because we do need to take action. We can't just know that we want to feel this way and not do anything to feel this way. But we're not going to take action the way you've been trying. The way you've been trying would have been like this. Okay, so if I rated my marriage a 10, then I would feel appreciated. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, first, we're going to need marriage counseling. He needs to learn to communicate better. She needs to stop losing her temper. I need to learn how to say things in a different way so that my partner doesn't get upset with me in the way that I say things. Okay? That feels pretty awful when those are the action steps that you are going to be taking to create your future self. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to create what I call alignment banks for each of the feeling states that you've determined for each bucket. So let's say for marriage, appreciated is the feeling goal. And I'm actually glad I'm using this as the example in this podcast, because when you set a goal like that can only be achieved if someone else does something, your goal is going to fail. You don't get to have control over your partner and whether or not they appreciate you. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want to feel appreciated. I just want you to make sure that you are setting the goal from a place where you are empowered instead of someone else holds the power. You can't control if someone appreciates you, but you can align with the feeling of appreciation. Sometimes we just need to tweak the word a little bit. So in your alignment bank, you're going to write appreciation, that is the feeling goal, and then you're going to come up with all of the ways, as many ways as you can, that make you feel the feeling of appreciation. Maybe you appreciate a clean sink. That was one of mine once. Maybe you appreciate the blue-green color combo that's so abundant outside during the spring. Maybe there are songs that help you align with the feeling of appreciation. These are the things you're going to include in your alignment bank. These are the actions you're going to be taking to align you with your desired feeling. Because think about what will happen if your goal is to feel appreciation and all day long you are aligning with the feeling of appreciation. You are going to be feeling the way you want to feel, and no one else is required. Now, I do want to do a little caveat here. I don't want you to think that you're just going to gaslight yourself here and think you need to live with someone who clearly doesn't appreciate you. Here's what I want to say. When you empower yourself to start aligning with how your future self wants to feel every single day, the things that don't align become very clear. I always call them, they're like the turd in the punch bowl. It's like, ugh, that's not okay. And when you are in your future self mind more and more and more, speaking your truth will be easier. Knowing when and how to set boundaries will become clearer. And when you are already feeling how you want to feel, you won't need anything outside of you to make you feel that way. Your decisions will be much easier to make. So the alignment bank step, it's fun. It's another opportunity to use your imagination. What makes you feel happy? This song, this color, this person, this activity, this word. Anything goes here. All right, step 5. You are going to narrow down your focus. You are going to choose one bucket to focus on, maybe 2, but you're only going to do it 1 month at a time. So in Calm AF Life, we look at our future self goals every single month for a bunch of reasons. First, because the more you remember to engage with your goals, the quicker you manifest them. Even if you're only taking action and you're only thinking about them like half of the month, that's way more than if they're not in front of you, isn't it? The second reason is because once you get going in the process, the faster you move between buckets. It's pretty amazing how oftentimes after like a month or 2 on one particular bucket, my client will say like, that feels pretty solid right now, actually. I think, there's enough habit in place here that I can kind of switch my focus. Also, the reason why we do it 30 days, like 1 month at a time, because sometimes we just change our mind. Sometimes we just want to switch focus. And this is okay for any reason whatsoever. This Calm AF Future Self process is designed to work with real people, not machines. And real people's moods change. And real people change their minds. It happens. We've just been programmed to believe we have to be like nothing but consistent, bro. But the Calm AF way is not that. The Calm AF way is relentlessly committed, but consistent-ish. And I promise you, it works. It works faster. This is literally how I have changed my life many times over, because I never, ever, ever stop moving towards my future self, but I let it be messy and I let my intuition lead me and I let myself change my mind. These future self steps that I've created, they create the structure so that inside the process, we can play around with it. We can feel free with how we approach our goals. All right, that's it. That is the Calm AF way to manifest that future self life, a life that you like, a life that you genuinely enjoy. The Advanced Future Self course begins June 9th. Sign up now. I will send you goodies, a Future Self playlist, all sorts of other things. I can't wait to see you create the life you want. You deserve it. You are worthy right now of a life that feels how you want to feel. And you aren't going to create it by doing what you're doing now. There's just little tweaks, little tiny tweaks that will get you to your future self life. It's time to get in your future self head and learn the Calm AF ways to creating your future self life. Make sure if you are interested in the course and the workshop, you sign up. The show notes have the link. I love you so much. I'll see you next time. If you love this podcast, you will love Calm AF Life. It's a self-paced, lifetime access DIY course that teaches you all the concepts that I talk about here, from nervous system regulation to manifesting with ease. And since we know that true change doesn't happen just because you know what to do, you also get an all-access pass to coaching calls and accountability so you don't stay stuck and you don't give up. The best investment you could ever make is in yourself. Calm AF Life is here for you now. Life's not waiting. Let's get you aligned with your Calm AF self, gorgeous soul. I cannot wait to meet you. Go to KristenFinch.com and join me today.